I am Midigo, a photographer. I have been a photographer for the last 6 years now. Trained as a journalist, radio broadcast, studied communication at the Multimedia University, and after that my journey began in radio at the school's radio station. I was a producer and a newscaster. After college I went to, my journey got me into TV, where I was a news reporter. Then I switched again in 2014. That's when I got into photography. My photography scope covers news, that is photojournalism, documentary photography, sports, rugby, MTB cycling, swimming, and also social events such as weddings, birthday parties, dowry ceremonies, and all that. Funny thing is that my photography journey was something of a fluke, because when I was in school, I never thought at any one point I would be a photographer. Actually, photography was one of the units that I failed the most. Little did I know that after school, once I got into the broadcasting world, both radio and TV, I always thought that I would be in broadcast. Then I left the job at a TV station, and I didn't know what to do with myself. Previously, my friends had been telling me that I was good in writing and also good in photography. So I started a blog where I was writing a lot of societal issues, just being creative and engaging in all these things. But then whenever I started going to outside, I also figured out that I could take pictures, and I started taking pictures with my phone. And then a friend loaned me his digital camera. It was a small one, and once I got that, I also started taking these pictures and putting them up on my blog. And little by little, friends and family encouraged me and told me that, hey, why not do this photography and writing bit as a career, because now I had left the broadcasting world. At that moment I wasn't really serious about it, but I loved the idea of images, because I love being a creative. I loved how taking pictures, working on them, seeing how the images look when editing. At some point in around 2014 March, by chance we got now a professional camera. It was a D5, some Canon camera, I can't recall But I got a chance to have now a professional camera. I never used this professional camera before, so it was learning on the job. Funny thing is, I started Googling the photographers, Kenyan photographers that were big names around that time. There weren't many, but I got one by the name of Michael Kateli, and I called him. He asked me to come and shadow him for one event to the wedding, and little by little, that's when I learned how now to take photos. We were with a friend called Eric Onchiri, and he was a rugby enthusiast, so we thought, why not cover, because we knew the rugby people, the guys in the rugby world in Kenya, why not go to these rugby events and just learn how to take images with this camera. And that's how I think I got my footing in this industry. There are some icons, the people I look up to. The photography role models are never short, because for me, every day is a learning experience, and I always look forward to the people who came before me. And I will say, actually, to get where I am, I've got where I am because of the people who've held my hand, from Michael Kateli to the Simon Miner of AFP, Edwin Whiter, all these people, Thomas Mukoya in photojournalism. Basically, for every genre that I do of photography, there are people I look forward to. Be in sports photography, there are sports photographers that are in agencies I look up to. In news journalism, there are people who coach me and teach me and critique my work. In social events, same also happens. So if I start mentioning, I think all the role models I have, I really don't look at them as role models, but as my mentors and coaches. Sure, photography pays. The first and foremost thing for me in my photography journey is to be able to tell a story. Once I feel that I've told someone's story, be it in sports photography, be it in a social event, be it in news journalism, I feel the moment that person is satisfied, or I can tell this story to the best of my ability, for me, that's the best payment I get. Once the client or the subject is happy, that's the best feeling I always get. I'll give you a story. When I was starting up, there was this girl who was very interested in rugby. She was 15 years old. She was a high school girl, and her mother could not understand why this young girl was so enthusiastic about a sport that is mainly associated with men. And when I took, there's an event, a tournament that she went to, and I was the photographer that day. I took these photos, I printed them, and I sent them to her mother. When the mother saw how talented her daughter was, she was so happy, and she made a decision to let her daughter play rugby as a career. For me, I believe when I look back and see how that changed, how my pictures changed the perspective of this mother and daughter. And now this daughter, this girl right now is one of the players who play for the Nakuru RFC ladies team. It gives me such courage and hope and satisfaction that those images were able to do such a great thing. In terms of the financial perspective, yes. I've been privileged enough to cover all kinds of clients, from small time clients to big time clients, and I can say without doubt that entirely my income is from photography. It pays my bills, it pays for my upkeep and also it's what keeps my life rolling. My first salary in photography, I think it is, if I'm not wrong, was a mountain bicycle event. I was invited there to cover the race. It was a race in Kahawa in Dani, and it was a time trial race. So I wasn't even, because that time I was still learning the trade. I didn't think that, I just wanted to test my camera and see what kind of images that I would take on that particular day. Funny enough is I took the images for the day. I gave the client and the riders, the bicycle riders who are taking part in that time trial race. And the great thing is that these riders called me back and told me, Kevin, is it possible that you will print these images for us, because we want to have some memory of this race. For me, when I went to that event, I didn't think like it was a big thing. The moment I printed these images, and then a few of them bought those images, I realized that wow, not only they liked them, but they wanted to save them for future. And that's when I realized that maybe if I could be serious with this photography business thing, then I could go on and just it's what changed my perspective. Once I got into the photography business, during the initial stages, what I used to do together with my colleague was we will go on Facebook, check out the events that are available for the weekend or during the evenings, and just go shoot. Because in that way we thought that that's the only way to learn, because you go out there, expose yourself and learn a few tricks on how to play with the light, the camera angles, what lens to use, and all that kind of stuff. So it is in those events that I got to meet one of my the first clients, who was a Honduran musician. She's called Wanyaran Angerer. It was an event at a creatives garage event where different creatives come together, like a symposium. And I was taking these pictures, and then I posted them on a blog, and I shared with the creatives that were there then, because I was just working pro bono actually. So this Honduran musician, this lady, she saw the work and she told me she has another event that she would like me to cover. But she figured out, and she told me that since I'm still I was green in the game, she would like help me and help us get to know our way on how to cover different events, and also different how to charge. I will say the rates are determined by a variety of factors: the type of event, and sometimes the type of event, what the client wants, the timing, the location of the event. All this determine the amount that you're gonna charge to a client. For example, what you charge for a baby bump shoot is not the same that you'll charge for a documentary shoot in, let's say, Samburu or Mombasa. What you charge for an event in Nairobi is not the same amount that you charge for an event outside Nairobi. The same applies to in Kenya and outside Kenya. Is it a hard disk area? Is it a secure area? As years go by, I've also come to an understanding that the amount of work I put in, everything I put in, I charge for that. I charge for the creative fees. I charge, that is the labor. I charge for the camera gear. I charge for post-production. Yeah, all these factors come into play. Yeah. Everything that you do, you got some good experiences, you also get some bad experiences, but all in all, it's all a learning experience, because from the good people you learn the brighter side of life. From the bad experiences you also learn how to maneuver such bad things. I will say that I've met quite a couple of bad apples in this job, but the worst has to be the clients who refuse to pay. Basically, it doesn't, and which forces you now to go to get some legal action, and necessarily it's just not something you want to do with the client. Yeah. So they also, those clients, either they refuse to pay or they delay payments for so long that it just looks like it's a bad debt in the long run. I believe that several factors come into play. First, talent is there for sure, passion and hard work. If you're not passionate, if you can be talented, but if you don't have passion and you don't work hard towards it, then you are just as good as not doing it. You have to be passionate about everything you do. Anything you do, you just have to do it from 100% from deep down your heart. And also hard work. You put in the work, and also know that sometimes it takes a lot of time and patience, because it doesn't happen in a day. Just as they say, Rome wasn't built in one day. So for you, the moment you see anyone who's great, who has achieved legendary status, they put in the work other than being talented, and they're passionate about it. And to some extent, luck plays a role, because they say luck meets you at the door of hard work. So you can't sit back and think that maybe I'll just be lucky to get this shot or to get this type of client. You have to put in the work so that when something happens, when other people are saying you are lucky, you just know that you are working towards something. And finally, I'll say that in each and everything, after all is said and done, without God, I don't think there's anywhere you're going. Because I believe I've been able to achieve whatever I've done in my short career span as a photographer because of what God has done to me. So I believe that God's grace plays a major role in each and everything that we do.